Hello YouTube, how you doing? How you doing? It's time again for the knife of the day. This is a new series, started about 2 months ago, where we're going through my collection one knife at a time. We're starting with the Spyderco collection, my largest collection of knives, hundreds of knives, and then we're going into Chris Reeve, Browse blades, striders, hinderers, case knives. You don't see my case knives that much on this channel, and a whole bunch of other knives. One knife at a time, one day at a time. Today, we are continuing the beginning of this series. In the beginning of this series, I said I'm going to do discontinued Spyderco knives. There's a lot of discontinued Spyderco knives. Spyderco discontinued knives when the demand is no longer there. They also discontinue them because they're sprint runs. You know, they only have a limited production of the knife. So we're going to go through those. We're continuing to do those. This knife right here, the knife of the day, is the Spyderco Terzuola. It's the Spyderco Terzuola Slipit. Spyderco calls their slip joint knives Slipits. This is a slip joint knife, which means it's a non-locking knife. You guys know the Hall of Fame knife maker, the custom knife maker, Bob Terzuola. He has collaborated with a lot of production knife makers. This knife represents his 4th collaboration with Spyderco. And I know out there when you talk about slip joint knives, people get all, oh, why a slip joint knife? You know, because we're so used to locking knives. You know, locking knives, not that old in the history of knife making, you know. First, of course, the fixed blade knives, and then the folding knives that we all love. And then the locks started coming into view. And that's why Spyderco has the Sage series, right? To celebrate all of the makers of the new locks. A lot of knives. I grew up with knives without locks. Okay? You had a pen knife or a Boy Scout knife and it didn't lock up. And you know what? I never remember opening up a knife or using a knife saying, boy, it doesn't have a frame lock on it. I'm scared. Because usually with a knife, you're going against where the lockup is, right? You're not messing with, unless you have a YouTube video where you want to destroy a knife, you're not messing with the spine of the knife, you're messing with the edge. And so that tension kind of keeps it open. But of course, a lot of the modern day slip joints and almost all of Spyderco's slip joints nowadays have a couple of things to keep the knives from hurting you, from collapsing. I mean, that's why we have locks, right? To make the knife more sturdy and us more confident and safety reasons. So before I go through the knife, let's talk about, well, we'll be going through this knife because it has all of the things that Spyderco usually has on their slipits or slip joint knives. First of all, most modern knives, I have a number of Pinna custom knives, and they're non-locking, or any other very well thought out slip joint knife has a half stop. And what that means is there's no lock, but right there it pauses. Going up, you can feel it pause. Going down, it'll stop right there at 90 degrees. See that? It's not locked, you push through it, but there's a tension there that stops it, and it says, hey idiot, Kevin, move your hand out of the way, I'm about ready to chop it off. So it is a safety part of a very good and well-designed slip joint knife. Also with Spyderco, you guys always hear me, you know, in the knife world there are blade freaks and this kind of freak and people that just concentrate on things. I'm not. I just like knives. I'm simple, and a lot of people don't like me because I'm just simple. But I love a forward choil. My big Michelin Man hands fit a forward choil so nice. But on a slip joint, especially from Spyderco, that forward choil, this is like a 60-40 choil, 40% of it blade steel, the rest handle. Fits real nice in your hand, but also see, your finger stopping it from moving. Your finger becomes the lock. So it's a real nice feature. So let's talk about this discontinued Spyderco Terzuola Slipit slip joint knife. If you've ever seen a Terzuola, I've unfortunately don't own one of the custom knives, but I see them and drool over them online. They're just coveted, wonderful knives from a knife making genius. In this way, let's start with the handle. The handle is carbon fiber. I keep thinking it's carbon fiber on G10. But I went to the Spyderco website and it just says carbon fiber, so we'll go with that. It feels good though, really feels good in the hand. You can tell by that right there and on the back. They do have a clip specially made for this knife, so you don't get the general Spyderco clip. You get this real thin clip that works very well, and that's great. It's inset a little into the handle. The clip is right and left, tip up only, no tip down, tip up only, and that's why you have the inset right there in the front. So if you were a lefty, you just flip it over there. The other thing that's pretty interesting, they have a G10 back spacer that goes into a lanyard hole. It's more of, yeah, see that right there? The latch. On this knife, Spyderco basically puts on a leather lanyard for you. Yeah, it's cinched right there. So there's the leather lanyard. I didn't put it on. It comes with the knife. It's part of the knife from Spyderco. Now the blade, really nice. S30V steel. I mean, we're talking about a real quality knife here. S30V steel, 3 inches. It hits that special 3-inch mark for those of you who live in a place that you're not allowed to have a knife blade more than 3 inches. Of course, I talked about that forward choil. I talked about the forward grip right there, right? And because of that, it cuts the cutting edge to 2.7 inches. So it's total, take out the choil, and it's 2.7 inches for the cutting. I love that they have the swedges. You know, swedges make that blade look so great, but also cuts off a lot of, or a little bit of the weight as well. With a knife like this, it's 2.5 ounces. So it's a real nice, lightweight knife. 2.5 ounces. It's about 7 inches total when it's open like this. It is a really nice slip joint knife. I have almost all of Spyderco slip joint knives. This is one of my favorite. It's so well made. It's hollow ground, not one of the full flat grounds that Spyderco is known for. You know, it's interesting. Of course, it has jimping right there as you go on top of the, right before you get on top of the Spyderco hole. You know me, I don't know. This is a lot of Spyderco holes go crazy. I don't get this design of the hole. Just make it smaller. It's such a nice knife. But that's Terzuola's and Spyderco's design. Who am I to complain? I guess the owner of the knife, right? But you do get a good grip up top. But still, that's the only thing I'm not that thrilled about. I don't get it. Usually, 95% of the time I get it. I don't get that. But I really like this knife. It is discontinued. Again, the Spyderco Terzuola, their collaboration, the 4th collaboration with Bob Terzuola, the great custom knife maker. It's discontinued. It's a slip joint knife, which means it's non-locking. 3 inches, the blade, 2.5 ounces, S30V steel. I figured I'd put it up against the Manix and the Delica to give you a look at its size relative to some knives you're probably familiar with. There you have it. That's the knife of the day. Don't forget to like it, share it, subscribe. We're trying to hit that 2,000 subscriber goal, and turn on your notifications. I'm expecting a new knife tomorrow. So that means we're going to have my first impressions of it. You guys have a perfect day. Keep those pockets full. Goodbye.